Hi, I'm Jack Hasling, and some of you know that I like to write stories that are designed to be read aloud. And that's what I've done with this new book that I've written called I've Thought Every Thought I Can Think. It's a book of verse, and you can find it on my website, jacksverse.com. I want to start with one that I wrote for the month of April. It's called Why in Paris? Why must lovers always meet in Paris on a cobbled street? Why not Cleveland or St. Paul or any other place at all? In Bakersfield their love would flower, except there is no Eiffel Tower. It's very nice in Kalamazoo, and Albuquerque's lovely too. Phoenix is a charming spot, although it gets a little hot. And why in April, not in May? I wonder why they think that way. I guess it's all because of Bogey and Bacall. For the month of May, I wrote, It happens. Most pregnancies occur in May and happen in the afternoon. That might explain why wedding days are always in the month of June. For June, I wrote one for my grandson who was graduating from college. It's called The Virtual Graduate. To graduate from college now, you'll need the internet, a computer, or an iPhone. After that, you'll be all set. There isn't any chance that there will ever be a swindle, since all the textbooks that you read will always be on Kindle. The professors are on YouTube, not in the lecture hall, and TAs will be twittering. They won't bother you at all. Libraries are obsolete because they're so slow. Just go online and Google anything you want to know. And labs, well, there are programs now that reconstruct the studies. Seminars are chat rooms where you can always find your buddies. You can simulate most everything, the ball and senior dance. You can even go to iTunes now for pomp and circumstance. And then at graduation, you won't have to fight the mob. Just download your diploma and start looking for a job. For July, I wrote one about firecrackers called Pyrotechnics. I still have all my fingers. That's a blessing, and I know it, because my uncle taught me how to light a cherry bomb and throw it. He'd light him from his cigarette and toss him in the air. I thought that was the coolest thing I'd seen most anywhere. We'd put a firecracker in a tin can on the ground, and when that blew, you bet that sucker really made a sound. So now, as all the years go by and memory still lingers, I must confess from time to time I have to count my fingers. You might remember that in August there was a news report that Mars would be as close to Earth as it ever would come. So I wrote this called Round Trip. They told me that in August we would get a glimpse of Mars. It was less than 40 million miles away. The last time it was here was when it came and brought the people who became the population of today. At least that's what von Däniken has told us in his tale. They make the trip in chariots, I learned. I'll take him at his word, and then I'll start to make a list of all the folks I'd like him to return. I bet that a lot of you like to read the classics, as I do, so I wrote a few verses about classical literature. This first one is called What Made Dorian Gray. The world is full of stories as the end of life draws near. For folks to say we're looking young is what we want to hear. As time goes by, we must admit that we are getting old, and a pill for immortality as yet has not been sold. So pour yourself another glass of vodka and vermouth and try to make yourself to be an everlasting youth. I'm sure that you would like to think it's something you deserved, to have your facial features always perfectly preserved. But if you act like Dorian, just giving people static, the chances are you'll wind up like his picture in the attic. This is called I Want to Take My Hunchback. I had to write a paper for a course that I was taking. It had to be a character of Victor Hugo's making. I selected Quasimodo, who has always been my hero. I thought I had the story right, but still I got a 0. I guess he didn't score the winning touchdown in the game, and apparently he never even played for Notre Dame. This one is called Young Helen, and this might require a little thought. Young Helen watched the walls come down. The ladies were distressed. "Whatever will we do?" they cried. "Our men have failed the test." But Helen wasn't worried, even though she lost her man. The face that launched 1,000 ships was bound to have a plan. "There'll always be a Greek," she said, "and Trojans who will pay us. So keep alert for action, girls, and maybe Menelaus." Okay. This one's called It's the Nose. Of all the heroes that I know, my favorite one is Cyrano. With sword and verse he worked the room while proudly wearing his white plume. I'd like to duel as well as he, reciting lines of poetry. And yet I wouldn't be so nasty. I would have chosen rhinoplasty. Now, this last one is called Misunderstood, and it's about that great American novel, Moby Dick. You really can't blame Moby Dick for his deeds. Like everyone, whales have their issues and needs. He didn't consider that he was a threat or think Captain Ahab would get so upset. And bashing the Pequod and making it sink, well, he had a reason to do it, I think. But now folks avoid him like he was the plague for taking a bite out of somebody's leg. If he'd gotten a job, he'd be feeling more chipper, performing at SeaWorld with Willie and Flipper. Let me have one more here because this is one of my favorites. It's called Achievement. We're awfully proud of Hester for the things that she's achieved. She went away to college. That's at least what we believed. She must have gone to Stanford, and her grades are getting better, for she wrote to us today and said she'd earned her scarlet letter. The book is called I've Thought Every Thought I Can Think, and you can find it on my website at jacksverse.com.